Namaste. Welcome to the mat and welcome back to Embodied Unity. I'm Madison Annette and I'm so glad that you are joining me in practice today. I have a class aimed at deepening you into presence with yourself, into presence with your body, into presence with the wisdom within. So we'll take a somatic lens to much of today's class, and so the encouragement is to really listen deeply to the body, even if it's telling you things that you want to judge, that you want to make stories about, trying to slip into this role of the witness of your own experience today. And I'll remind you if you forget. So we'll begin by closing down the eyes in a comfortable seat of your choice. Noticing what it's like to find presence in this moment. How does it feel to be present with whatever is arriving with you to the mat today? Breathing slowly, allowing whatever is here to be here. Let's find one more deep breath. And we'll invite in a really, really deep breath. So trying to send the breath all the way down as low as you can, expanding out the diaphragm, the lower lungs, the chest, and the shoulders. When you're ready, let's inhale nice and big. Holding at the top briefly. Emptying out all the way. If you think you've emptied, squeeze out a little more air. And then let the breath return to normal. Noticing the effect that even one deep breath can make. And I'm going to guide us through now a breathing technique known as 4-7-8. So the purpose of this breath is to engage the parasympathetic nervous system a little deeper. So when we exhale longer than our inhales, it signals to the body that we are in a restorative, relaxing state, that there's no threats, that there's nothing to sound the alarm bells about. So for this breath, we will inhale to the count of 4. We'll hold our breath at the top of the inhale to a count of 7, and then we'll exhale for a count of 8. So particularly having that exhale as double the length of the inhale is really beneficial to this parasympathetic nervous system that I was speaking to. And so because it's twice as long as the inhale, the invitation is to try to really slowly exhale. So at the beginning especially, only letting a little bit of air slip out so that you can make the exhale last for that full 8 count. I'll count us through the first 3 rounds, and if you find that the holding the breath for 7 counts, or if the exhale's a little too long for you, if either of those feel a little too difficult, you can dial the count back a little. So maybe if you want to do 4, 5, 6 or something like that, allowing that count to happen on your own gives you kind of the freedom to adjust if you need. All right, so we'll start in our seat with the eyes closed. Taking one more moment here to check in, to be present with your internal space as we begin. And then when you're ready, we'll exhale all the air out of the body. Inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Keep going with your own count. After your next exhale, allow the breath to return to its normal rhythm, keeping the awareness internal, staying present to this space within. Now that we've dropped in a little, I'm going to guide us through an exercise called red, yellow, green, kind of similar to the red light, green light that we all know and love. We're going to do this standing up. You can stay seated if you want, but I'm going to stand up because I find that it allows for a little more motion, which is what we're going for with this exercise. So either seated or standing. Taking a moment to arrive if you chose to come up. Finding a full body breath wherever you're at. So this exercise, I will call out the terms red, yellow, and green in varying orders. And so if I say red, you'll find full stillness. If I say green, finding some movement, so whatever speed of movement that looks like to you. And then yellow will kind of be in between. So yellow is the slow down. So if this is my green, maybe yellow would be more like this. And then red would be the full stop. So whenever you hear me say the term, go to either full stop, full movement, or the slow movement in between. And the invitation with this is to really notice what it feels like in the body to be at these varying stages of movement. So we'll start with green, and this is why I wanted to stand up here, so it gives you full movement access, letting yourself do whatever kind of movements you want, not worrying about looking silly, just making some weird movements. Red, full stop. Yellow, nice and slow. Red, green. Yellow, Noticing what happens in the transitions when you change from one movement pattern to another. What's it like to transition between them? Green. Yellow. Red. What's it like to be in the stillness? Yellow. I notice that it's hard for me to move slowly. That's what I'm working on. Red. Yellow. Green. Red. Coming back into stillness this final time. Giving yourself a moment to pause, feel, and notice. One more deep, full body breath. And now we're going to do a few rounds of this mini Sun A salutation. So this is just the traditional up, forward fold, and I think I'll take us back into downward facing dog as well. And what we're going to do is bring in that same exercise, so the red, yellow, green, during this little Sun A. So I'll start it just regular, walking you through the shapes, and then we'll keep going with the same flow pattern. And I'll call back out those terms again. And so the invitation will be then to move really, really slow through the Sun A, or move at your regular breath pattern. So a little faster, a little more active. And just notice what it's like to then move through the yoga asana with slowness at regular speed, maybe even faster if you want to speed it up. And then in the stillness whenever we stop. So I'll start by walking us through the motions without the exercise to begin. So we'll find our full length, our full mountain pose here at the top of the mat. And with our inhale, we'll bring arms above the head. Exhaling to fold it forward. Inhale for a halfway lift, shoulders reaching back to hips. Exhale to forward fold and step the legs back for downward facing dog. We'll inhale here. And then we'll exhale to step it back up again. Inhaling all the way up. And exhaling, hands to heart. So that will be the movement pattern. And we'll go through it several times. So maybe I'll walk us through one more round, and then we'll start bringing in the red, yellow, green. So one more time, we'll inhale, arms above the head. This would be green pace, unless you wanted to go faster. That's up to you. But this would be the green pace as I'm going to do it. So inhaling, arms above the head. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold, and stepping the legs back for down dog. Inhaling here. Exhaling back, up, forward fold. And inhale all the way up, arms above the head. Exhaling, forward fold, moving greenly. Oh, shit. Exhale, arms above the head. And moving with green, we'll exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Yellow, moving really slow now, so kind of letting go of the breath in your own time. As slow as you can move, stepping it back to downward facing dog. We'll continue to move with yellow, moving as slow as you can. And what's it like to slowly step the feet up to the top of the mat? And then still with yellow here, we're going to roll all the way up to standing, arms above the head. How slow can you go? Still in yellow here, forward folding. And red, so whenever you get to forward fold, let's pause in stillness. Feeling the blood, the energy flowing into the head for a moment. And we'll transition back into green. So with your next inhale, finding a half lift. Exhaling back down and stepping to down dog. Inhaling here. And exhaling at normal pace, back up, forward fold. Continuing with green to inhale, arms above the head. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. And step it back. Red. Let's pause here. What's it like to find stillness in your dog? Oftentimes we get in a downward facing dog and we're pedaling it out, and I haven't warmed you up yet. So what's it like to just jump straight into this downward facing dog hold? Green, let's step it up. Inhaling, arms above the head. Exhaling to fold. Yellow, let's nice and slow find a half lift. releasing, flowing with the breath, and just allowing yourself to move slow. In your own time, making that journey back to down dog. Spending a breath or so here. Nice and slow once more, walking it up. Tiny slow steps, might get kind of hard. And once more, really slowly rolling it up. Arms traveling once more above the head. And red, we'll pause here. Finding a little bit of a tuck with the booty, so not wanting to pop out here. Can you reel it in, cinching the rib basket a bit as the shoulders sink down with the arms still lifted. What's it like to pause in this shape? One more deep breath. And we'll lower the arms down. Pause, feel, notice. What was it like to move really slowly? What was it like to stop in the middle of a sequence that we don't normally stop in necessarily? Let's find one more deep full body breath here. And then we'll take it back down to a seat. Coming again into connection with our own presence. Has there been any subtle shifts or changes in your internal space? And for the rest of class, we're just going to do some slow seated movement and stretches. So, invitation to keep checking in with your internal space, observing what it's like to be present with yourself. We'll start in a cross-legged seat with hands on the knees. Find some nice, slow circles. When I first started doing nervous system work, I realized how hard it was for me to go slow during the exercises that we were doing, and how that reflected how it was hard for me to go slow in my life. This is a beautiful opportunity to observe how the ways that you're showing up on the mat reflect ways that you're showing up in your life. And continuing with these slow circles, let's go the other direction. You can get as much of the spine as you want involved here. So I'm kind of bringing my neck in, but you don't have to. Breathing nice and slow, moving nice and slow. Let's find one more. And we'll do a couple seated cat-cows as well. So with the inhale, rounding through, pushing the chest forward, dropping head back. And in the exhale, pulling the chin nice and slow down to the chest. Maybe keeping the eyes closed, noticing what it's like to move in this way. Can you feel each individual vertebrae? Can you allow yourself to move with that much presence? Let's do a couple more. Returning up to a straight spine. And then we're going to work our spine laterally. So we're going to do a little side to side action, still nice and slow. So we'll bring left hand down to the ground next to us, as far away from or as close to the body as feels good to you. And we'll inhale, right arm up above the head. Pausing for the exhale. One more inhale. Transitioning this time on the exhale to bring right hand down to the ground beneath you or beside you. And then we'll bring left hand up with an inhale. Staying for exhale. And one more inhale. Exhaling, left hand back down. And speed it up just a little bit. So we'll inhale, right arm up. And then on the exhale, we'll transition. So inhale to find full extension. Exhale to lower and transition. Really trying to anchor through the hip during that extension with the inhale. Lengthening the side body as much as you can. And the next time that you're in a left side body extension, let's make that our last one. Return back to center. We'll pause, feel, and notice. Next shape is going to be 90-90. So if you're unfamiliar with this shape, it's a little funky to get into the first time, but then once you get it, you'll know why it's called 90-90. So we'll start with the right leg forward. So our legs are making a bunch of 90-degree angles here. So we got one big 90-degree angle with the left knee, one big 90-degree angle with the right knee. So ideally you'll have the right shin parallel to that top edge of your mat, with the right thigh parallel to this right side of your mat. Left shin, I'm going to scoot back a little bit. Left shin is parallel to left side of the mat. And then that left thigh is parallel to both the right shin and the top of the mat. So we want a nice big space in between the heel and the knee here. I oftentimes see people doing kind of like this, and we want to really open it up so that we have the kind of right thigh length of space between the knee and the heel. So once we've found the orientation of the legs, let's sink back into that left hip for a moment and just let it start to feel comfortable with the internal rotation. And then what we're going to do is we're going to transition to this same shape facing the back of the mat. So we're going to begin to lift up through the left knee, keeping right knee down on the mat. Well, I mean, mine's not touching the mat, but keeping the right leg down as long as you can as you lift the left knee until you can't lift it anymore. And then the right knee has to come along for the ride. I had to kind of shift my booty a little bit, otherwise you end up moving around a little bit, which is also fine. Anyways, so now we're facing back of the mat. And left shin is parallel to back of the mat. Right shin is parallel to the side. Again, pausing here for a moment, leaning into that internal rotation of the right hip, making sure it feels all right. And we'll transition back and forth a few times. This is really, really great lubrication for the hip joints because we're taking from internal rotation into external rotation. So move as slowly as you'd like. You can move at your own pace. We'll just do this a few times and I'll call you out when we're done. During that transition, just lifting that back leg first, trying to keep front leg down as long as possible. And then maybe going along for the ride. I sometimes like to pause in the middle in this like full motorcycle, in this full open knees apart position before continuing my journey over to the other side. And continuing with your movement. And I thought for a moment when I started to hear that motorcycle, should I pause the video? And no, I'm sorry, you're going to hear the motorcycle sounds. It's just not worth it for me to keep pausing and restarting and interrupting the flow, so you're just going to get all the background noises. This gorgeous studio that I'm in currently is Resilient Soul Yoga in downtown Loveland, Colorado, and we're neighbors with a bar, so kind of get some loud trucks and motorcycles coming through every once in a while. All just an invitation to deepen into presence whatever noises are happening around you. Maybe you've got roommates home that are causing a ruckus. How present can you still be with your body, with your breath? Developing this relationship of presence with your internal space on the mat so that you're able to find deeper presence off the mat and kind of dive into that connection of your internal space a little easier over time. Let's finish facing the back of the mat. So we'll have left foot forward. And then we'll bring our chest square over that left thigh, bringing hands, kind of walking them out from the body a little bit, and folding over as far as feels comfortable. So this is a great shape if you don't have a whole lot of openness in the hips, because you can just stop right here and you're not going too deeply into the knees like you might with pigeon. So just pausing wherever feels good, just lowering yourself enough so that you can breathe into that stretch of the outer left hip. A little tight today. And we'll spend just a few breaths here. Last deep breath. And pressing yourself back up. So from our 90-90 shape, we're going to pull our right foot, so that back foot, in towards the glutes, and then take left foot to meet the top of the right thigh. This can be anywhere along the thigh that feels comfortable for you. And we're going to do just a little bit of twisting. We did some nice flexion and extension with the spine. So now let's do a little bit of twisting. So we're going to take right hand over to this left knee. Moving left hand back a little bit so that you can twist towards the left shoulder. Deepening this twist as far as feels good in your body. Allowing those hands to be anchor points. One more deep breath. And we'll unravel back to center. And we'll send those feet back out into our 90-90 position. So coming back into 90-90, left leg forward. And one more time we'll make that transition back to the front of the mat. So lifting up through the right knee, traveling nice and slow. Ooh, I had a little hip hop. And landing in 90-90 on this side. Let's fold over the right leg, so squaring chest over the thighs, walking the hands forward as far as feels good to you. One more deep breath into the right hip. And we'll slowly walk it back up with the hands. We'll find that twist over to the other side. So pulling left foot in towards the glutes. Right foot slides in to meet top of the left thigh. We'll take left hand to the right knee and pull that right hand back, landing it on the ground so we can twist towards the right shoulder. Last breath here. And unraveling back to center once more. Let's take this left leg and rotate it back around so that we can meet in butterfly position. We'll have feet together. And pausing for a moment with the feet. I like to invite in a little foot massage in butterfly. I think it's a really lovely chance to show some appreciation to our beautiful feet, giving them a moment of our presence. Massaging through the arches, getting into that heel. All the way up into the toes. What's it like to be present with the feet? With your beautiful feet that ground you, that connect you to the earth, that facilitate your movement, your exploration of this planet. Thank you, sweet feet. When that feels complete to you, we'll spend another few breaths in our butterfly. So, invitation to explore whatever might feel good to you here. Maybe that's flapping the knees. Maybe that's doing some little sways and rocks like I'm doing here. Maybe that's just folding down. Give yourself the gift of presence for the next few breaths with your butterfly. Two more deep breaths. Let's lift back up if we were folded over the feet, using the hands to help the knees back up to center. Then we'll lean back on the hands and drop the knees side to side, massaging those hips just a little more. Lots of hips and spine loving today. So hopefully you'll feel nice and lubricated after this practice. Let's take it down to our backs. When you are ready, keeping knees bent, feet flat on the floor as we make our journey down. Maybe finding a nice open mouth, sighing exhale as you arrive. And closing down the eyes for a moment. Dropping back into presence with your internal space. Checking in. From here, we're going to cross our left leg on top of the right leg. So just like you're sitting in a chair, crossing your legs. And you can stay here with the right foot down on the ground. If you're wanting to stay here, I'd recommend scooting that right foot over to the left a little bit so it's a little more central. If this feels like the level of sensation that you want today, just stay here with your legs crossed, right foot on the mat. If you'd like to go a little deeper, you can lift both legs and kind of flattening that pelvis down onto the mat. And you can also just hang out here with the legs just kind of gently in towards the chest. Or you can take it one step further into reclined cow face by grabbing onto the foot, the ankle, the shin, anywhere along this lower portion of the leg.
on both sides. And maybe you play around and decide you only want to do one side. You can kind of explore this shape in your body with your presence. I'm going to grab onto my ankles. And if you're taking this deeper expression, flexing the feet up towards the knees to avoid any lateral movement in the knees, which they are not designed to do. Whichever expression of this shape your body has chosen today, let's take a few deep present breaths into the sensations that we're feeling here. Two more deep breaths. Then we'll unravel the legs, bringing both feet back to the mat once more. And we'll find fallen tree for just a few breaths as a counter stretch for that left hip. So right leg is going to extend flat all the way down on the mat. Left knee is going to stay bended, but we're going to bring the sole of that left foot to meet the right inner thigh, so the knee falls out to the side. And if this feels really deep for you, just being present with the sensations, we'll take 3 breaths here. Bringing left hand to the left thigh, and I like to come out of this by bringing my pinky toes away from the right leg first and kind of digging into that pinky toe, lifting the heel, moving heel out away from the leg, and then lifting knee up, kind of creating that space first. We'll bring left knee into the chest. Let's give it a squeeze. And then we'll lubricate a little bit through our hip joint. So we did that kind of seated hip massage with our 90-90 rotations earlier. Now let's fully let that hip joint be relaxed. So the hands are what is doing all of the work. The hands and the arms, maybe a little bit of the core. Noticing what it's like to have the leg in different spots through the joint. So for me, coming in right here feels a little pinchy, and then it feels fine. So just observing any sensations and honoring what they're wanting you to do. So when I'm feeling that pinch, I'm like, oh, I need to maybe back off a little bit. All right, let's land that left foot down on the mat. We're going to take right leg up, crossing it on top of the left leg. And exploring your expression for reclined cow face today. So if you want to center that left foot a little bit and just stay here with foot on the ground, that's perfectly fine. You can also begin to lift the legs in towards the chest, maybe just letting them hang out here, maybe grabbing onto the right lower leg, maybe also the left lower leg. If you chose this option, flexing the toes towards the knees. And we'll hold for a few breaths in this shape. Two more deep breaths. We'll unwind the legs, bringing both feet back to the mat once more. We'll come into fallen tree on the right side. So left leg extends out long. Right sole of the foot meets left inner thighs. The knee bends down and out to the side. 3 breaths here. Bringing right hand to the right thigh, maybe coming out that same way with a little toe heel, scooting, and then helping knee up and into the chest. And we'll give a squeeze, and then a gentle massage. And I've got my microphone set up over here on this side, so I can't go quite as far. It starts to dig into my... Oh, okay, that's better. Maybe noticing if there's any differences between the right and left hip while we're massaging through the joint. My right hip does not feel as pinchy, which is interesting because my left hip is the more open one. So I'd think that my right hip would be pinchier. Who knows? The body is such a mystery. All right, y'all, we're coming into the close of class here. So if there's anything else your body would like before Shavasana, maybe that's a happy baby, grabbing onto the soles of the feet or behind the thighs and letting feet hang out in the air. Maybe rocking a little bit. Maybe your body would prefer some more twisting. Anything else that you would enjoy. And if you just want to head straight into your Shavasana, awesome, I'll meet you there. Whenever you arrive into your Shavasana, maybe finding another one of those deep sighing exhales. Bringing your presence back inside. Nothing else in the whole world matters right now. For the next few minutes, the only thing that there is for you to do is be present with yourself, your body, your breath. If you notice the mind wanting to take you out of this presence, can you redirect back to the breath? Maybe even sending the breath, the energy of the breath, into somewhere intentional in the body. Say maybe your heart space. Breathing in and out of that space as you drift. Melting all of the limbs, every muscle, every bone, every joint. Melting completely. Utilizing that internal presence to notice if tension starts to creep in, maybe to the inner thighs or the eyebrows or the jaw. Softening, melting. Slowly beginning to invite some deeper breaths back into the body. Finding little wiggles with the fingers and toes, and letting that build into larger movements whenever you're ready. Finding as much presence as you can as you wake the body back up. Maybe rolling over onto one side. using the arm as a pillow and pausing for just a moment in the fetal position. Maybe bringing in the reminder, I am safe. I am safe to be present with all of me. When you feel ready to push it back up to a seat, that's where we'll meet. And take your sweet time getting there. There's no rush. We'll finish our class today with the eyes closed once more. Connecting with your presence one more time. Breathing into your internal space, noticing any shifts or changes in your internal space since we began class. Does it feel different to be present with yourself after this practice than it did at the beginning? And if not, that's okay too. You're still doing great things and connecting to breath and body. I'd like to close us out by reading the description for a card that I pulled before class. Keeping the eyes closed and trying to be present with these words and maybe any feelings that come up as I read them to you. Remember who you are. They say an elephant never forgets, and now is the time to emulate her powerful spirit. She knows who she is and carries the wisdom of the ancestors in her veins and the song of the earth in her mighty step. Her grace and power remind us we need to only honor our own nature and embrace its natural shape in order to embody remembrance. Allow yourself to take up all the space you need to express your particular genius. Allow yourself to love who and what you love unabashedly. Make no apologies for what feels most natural and alive to you. Now is the time to remember who you were before the world told you who you should be. Let's bring hands in to meet at the heart space. Bowing head towards the hands in honor of your presence. Thanking yourself, honoring yourself for finding presence within today. For taking time to slow down and turn inward. You are doing such a good job. Finding a breath of gratitude for this practice, for the roots of this practice, of the yogic tradition that extend back thousands of years, and for the branches that grow into the future in new and different ways.
It has been my deep honor to share this time with you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for rolling out your mat today and joining me in embodied unity. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May peace be within, without, and all around. Thank you.